Hello all. School is back in, not for kids yet, but for teachers. And I'm not finding myself with the time or brain power to sit down and edit a video. So right now, anything that I post is probably going to be a straight shot. This is what I'm doing. Probably minimal to no editing, probably no time lapse or music or anything. This is just what's going on. It's the last day of August. I have not done a garden tour. Well, I've tried a couple and they just seemed really boring to me, so I didn't finish editing them. And school's back in, so brain power, computer time, and energy is going to that. So this is going to have to get simpler. Garden looks good in some ways. We've got a lot of good stuff going on. We got a lot of green tomatoes. Sweet potatoes look amazing. We've had lots of meals that a lot of it is just coming out here, grabbing some food, and half or all of what's going into our meal outside of seasoning is from our garden, which makes me very happy. But fall garden wise, things are not going great. For some reason, my cabbage plants are just dying. And here, let me show you. So this one I actually just put in tonight because it was an extra. But they're just kind of doing this, like where they look like they need to be watered, even though they are watered, they're just wilting up and dying on me. I don't know why. I thought it was something to do with my compost being too rich, but I had taken some of these to my dad's 5 hours away and given them to him, and they did the same thing but in the pot before they transplanted them. So I have no idea what that is, but I'm kind of disappointed. I'm hoping maybe I can find some cabbage transplants somewhere because I had way too many and I planted them, and then the cutworms got like half of them, and I planted them again, and then they started doing this. So I had lots of cabbage seedlings. Now I don't have enough to have some fall harvest, which was awesome last year. Just be able to grab a head of cabbage and make some coleslaw or saute it or make some sauerkraut and just be adding fresh vegetable from our garden, you know, right in to our meals all the way through like January, February. Like we didn't buy produce for summer, early spring, fall, into like a month or so into winter before we needed to buy produce last year. So I'm hoping maybe I can find some cabbage seedlings. And a lot of this is just selfie mode and me showing you what's going on in the background because that's where we're at, like I mentioned. Fall tomatoes are doing well. The pole beans are starting to dry out. So lots of good stuff happening here in the garden. I need to plant some more fall stuff, but I was feeling very discouraged when my cabbage started dying. So this weekend coming up is Labor Day weekend. We've got a 3-day weekend, so I'm hoping maybe I can get a few more things in the ground and just see what's going on. I need to test my compost because I do want to know, is it maybe too nitrogen rich? I watched a video from No-Till Growers, and he was talking about compost being either too carbonaceous or too nitrogen. I'm wondering if my compost is too nitrogen since we do have chicken manure in it. So we'll see. I want to show you the ridiculously large butternut squash that is growing. Let's see. This is probably going to be, last year we had a 12-pound butternut squash. I believe that one's going to be about the same. Unfortunately, I think we're only going to get 2 of those squash. Each plant is only going to produce 1. So I don't know if that's a soil thing. I don't know if that's what they do. They produce just 1 squash, but a very, very large one. I don't know. And then the other thing that was my discouragement for my fall planting, I did a video where I said, you know, not overthinking it, just putting seeds in the ground. I planted peas at the base of that trellis, here, and here. kind of beside the peppers there. They didn't germinate, not one of them. Now, I would have assumed there was something wrong with the seed or something just bizarre if I hadn't thrown a few into our green stalk. I threw a few like just in the top of the green stalk where there was a little bit of space, and they're like 4 inches tall now. So I have no idea why. And again, is my compost too high in nitrogen and it either kind of burned the seeds or burned like the tiny roots when they tried to germinate? I don't know. I've been creating compost the same way for the past several years. I've been planting the same way, where I just cut the plants off, leave the roots in the soil, top with compost and plant in the compost. And I've had really, really, really good results for the past, I don't know, I think it's 2 or 3 seasons that's how I've been like turning over beds or going to the next thing. I don't know. Now I did chop down the buckwheat that we planted in where our cabbage was, not cabbage, garlic. And this grew really well. It germinated well, it grew well. And like our fall tomatoes, I planted in the compost. They grew well. The potatoes, they grew reasonably well for as like kind of crappy as the seed looked. So I don't know. I do need to test it. I just don't know where to get my hands on the test. I've been in contact with Penn State Ag about what tests I should do and what tests are available and the cost and all that. I just don't know where I physically get the kit and the paperwork to print, to fill out and send it in. I need to figure that out. So here's the garden in all its glory shortly before sunset. It's been a beautiful day. I have schoolwork to do. So thank you for being patient with me as I transition from summer mode, where I'm doing a ton of gardening and a ton of editing and videoing, to, well, this needs to fit in 10 or 15 minutes because that's what we have. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.